Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajeem. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Assalamu-alaikum. Ji ayanum, pakhair ni hao, churashumme, washmale, ohai gunzaimes, guten morgen, hola, bonjour, privyet, kaifa hal, hale shama chatore, ahlan wasalan, marhaba, buna, mucho, gracias, suabia, bhalli karaya. And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning into PT World. You're watching World this morning, alongside the one and the only Shahzad Hassan Khan. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope and pray that everybody out there in 46 different countries are doing wonderfully well and that you're ready to kickstart your day with us. Ladies and gentlemen, first things first, obviously, and to be very honest, just yesterday it was the Defense Day or the Martyrs Day over here in Pakistan as well on 6th of September. And to be very honest, I think that, that we did a wonderful transmission. I got a lot of calls that, everybody loved the show and that we did a great job. Obviously today, since it's 7th of September, it's going to be in continuation of that as well, because 7th of September, ladies and gentlemen, happens to be the Pakistan Air Force Day or Yawm-e-Fazaiya as well. But before we kind of indulge in any kind of conversation, I think it's really important to kind of pay tribute to all of those people who've contributed towards the country or the betterment of the country, or the people who've actually sacrificed their lives in the name of their motherland and in the line of the duty. And when we speak about, Pakistan Army, Pakistan Air Force or Pakistan Navy, there are other people who from civilian backgrounds have done a great job for the country itself. There are a lot of writers, there are a lot of poets, there are a lot of political people, who every day make sure that they are going to make Pakistan proud. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we are actually remembering one of such heroes as well, and his name is Ashfaq Ahmed Saab. I think he's inspired millions and millions of people all over the world. He was a writer, he was a broadcaster as well. He got a Pride of Performance Award. He was actually awarded with Sitara Imtiaz as well. And to be very honest, I think that, rather than just inspiring a lot of people, he even gave them this sense of Sufism as well, and he gave them the sense of how people really need to be close to their Almighty as well. But, talking about his early life as a boy, he wrote stories which were published in a magazine known as Phool or Flower for children. After returning to Pakistan from Europe, he actually took out his own monthly literary magazine, which goes with the name of, or back then it was Dastan Go. And not just that, he joined Radio Pakistan as a scriptwriter. He was made editor of the popular Urdu weekly, Lailo Naher, day and night, in place of famous poet Sufi Ghulam Mustafa Tabassum by the government of Pakistan as well. In 1962, Ashfaq Ahmed Saab started his radio program, Talqeen Shah, or in English we would know it as The Preacher, which made him popular among the people in towns and villages. He was appointed director of the Markazi Urdu Board in 1966, which was later renamed as Urdu Science Board, a post he held for 29 years. He remained with the board until 1979. He also served as an advisor in the education ministry as well. And, talking about his most famous writings, I think everybody kind of read them as well. There was Zawiya 1, there was Zawiya 2, Zawiya 3, Ek Mohabbat So Afsane, Man Chale Ka Sauda, then Gadariya, Ujle Phool, Safar Meena, and Thali Thalle, Mehman Bahar, Vadai Jang. So I think that, it is high time, and I want all the future generations, if you're out there, if you're tuned into PT World right now, and even if you're outside the country, because we go out in 46 different countries, ladies and gentlemen, such heroes should be highlighted every single day because they've contributed to the literature. And, this is why Pakistan is what Pakistan is today as well. So Ashfaq Ahmed Saab, may your soul rest in peace. Allah Pak, aapke darajat buland kare. And to his family, it is obviously indeed a big loss for all of us that he's not around. But while he was, he always made sure that he's going to bring a lot of difference in people's thinking on thought processes as well. So now where we're actually remembering Ashfaq Ahmed Saab, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's high time to remember all of those people who actually made sure that they're going to exhibit the courage and the valor, and that too in the line of duty and in the name of the country as well, in the name of their motherland, since it happens to be Pakistan Air Force Day or Yawm-e-Fazaiya today. So I've got something very interesting to share. First things first. I'm sorry, sir, that I'm actually going to make you wait for a little time as well, but I still remember that when I was growing up, me and my father, we were always very fond of airplanes as well. And what used to happen was that my father always loved kind of or liked the airliners. And so, wherever we were traveling, my father would always kind of stop the car, park the car, alongside the road, and he'd be like, okay, I need to see this. And it kind of felt very fascinating to him. So just because of him, I actually picked up on this fascination of his, and that too for planes. So I was on the other end. Probably it was, very sorry, it was because of my age, but I always liked fighter jets, and I always wanted to be, one of those people who are going to serve the Pakistan Air Force as well. So it's a very funny story. I don't know whether I should say it on television or not, but I'm going to be very honest about it. So there was this Lower Topa Cadet College as well, where me and my cousin, we went to kind of appear in an entry exam. So there were 4 subjects which you were supposed to kind of pass. I only passed 1, my cousin failed all, so the long story short, and I couldn't make it. But imagine that I was so disturbed and I was so devastated of the fact that I was not able to kind of become a part of Pakistan Air Force, that for a longer period of time in my life, I used to get these nightmares. I would call them nightmares, because I would see that, okay, I'm flying an F-16 or I'm flying a fighter jet, and all of a sudden when I would wake up, I would say, hey, you know what, I'm not in Air Force. And that was very distressful for me as well. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, speaking about Pakistan Air Force, I think it's second to none. The first things first, and the first ever Air Force in the entire world to kind of manufacture planes by themselves as well, which I believe is great achievement. But what went on in 1965 war is something which we'll be talking about, because this culmination where there was Pakistan Army, then there's Pakistan Navy, and then Pakistan Air Force, because each of them contributed to the defense of this country as well, and we're going to make sure that that none of the sacrifices are going to go in vain, and that we cherish each and every single moment of all of those people who've sacrificed their lives, of the Ghazis as well, and of their families. But first things first, we actually have a report to share with you guys. Please go ahead, take a look. Good morning.
Every year on the 7th of September, Pakistan commemorates Air Force Day in order to honor the services given and sacrifices made by veterans and martyrs of Pakistan's Air Force. From the time our nation was born to the successive battles undertaken to secure its survival, Pakistan Air Force has continued to play a critical role in turning the tide of any battle in Pakistan's favor. The sacrifices made by Pakistan Air Force personnel have made it possible today for us to live in a safe and secure homeland. Their unwavering courage and willingness to lay down their lives for the country have given this nation heroes who continue to inspire generations of Pakistanis. One such hero is M.M. Alam, nicknamed as Little Dragon, who made history during the 1965 war by destroying all 5 Indian fighter planes headed towards PAF base at Godha in less than 60 seconds. He passed away later in 2013 at the age of 78 years. He was awarded the Sitara-e-Jurrat for his dauntless contributions during the war. Air Marshal retired Asghar Khan, the first native commander-in-chief, headed the Pakistan Air Force diligently and with courage. Khan became the youngest head of Pakistan Air Force at the age of 35. With his leadership capabilities, late fighter played an integral role in transforming the Pakistan Air Force into a modern air force. Asghar Khan will always be remembered for his historic contribution for laying foundations of a strong Pakistan Air Force. Air Force Day is celebrated all across the country with great zeal and fervour. We commemorate this day to recognize that Pakistan's Air Force continues to soar high and make the nation proud.
I mean, it's just so amazing to look at all of these visuals as well. And then once again, I kind of got this feeling that, even if it's possible today, I would like to go back and kind of join Pakistan Air Force. But ladies and gentlemen, I think that Allah has actually kind of chosen you for a job to do. I think my responsibility is to be here and make sure that I disseminate information which is useful for every single person out there. But what is the significance of this day on September 7th, 1965? What went, what happened is something which we are talking about. Not just that. Pakistan Air Force pilot, Mr. M.M. Alam, still holds the record of shooting 5 fighter jets in less than 1 minute as well. And it's a world record, ladies and gentlemen, till date as well. We're very lucky that we've actually been joined by somebody who happens to be a Commodore retired Sitara Imtiaz military as well. He is Mr. Sayyid Shoaib Salim Saab. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. And Yom Fazaiya Mubarak, sir.
Wa alaikum assalam. Yom Fazaiya Mubarak, the whole nation.
And thank you very much, sir, for joining us. It's wonderful to have you. And the best part is that, ladies and gentlemen, this is something which I always kind of share with my all the guests, whoever kind of comes up on the show as well, sir, and that is that. So I always make sure that I'm going to only have a little bit of conversation where we know that what we're going to talk about, but we have had a conversation more than 35 minutes just downstairs as well. So I pretty much know everything now, and which is why I do not want to indulge myself in a conversation before the show, because then I think that यार मुझे तो पता ही है तो सबको कैसे पता चलेगा. But sir, now building up on this as well, obviously. Pakistan Air Force, second to none, to be very honest as well, in terms of technology, in terms of whatever we talk about, whatever is required in today's warfare as well. But sir, let's go back a little bit. Let's go back to 1965. What was it? What happened? And why do we celebrate Yom Fazaiya on the 7th of September?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. 7th September is being celebrated in Pakistan since 1965 because Pakistan Air Force put up such a record, such a international level record that it is being celebrated in Pakistan, and it has been recognized all over the world that air supremacy or air superiority is known only in the air warfare in the books.
Yeah.
And physically only few nations might have achieved. And Shukr Alhamdulillah, in 65 war on 7th September, Pakistan Air Force negated all Indian Air Force pilots, Air Force aeroplanes to come up in the air to pound on our army troops or to resist our Air Force, and we were dominating the air all over the border. We could go and strike their bases, we could go and strike their troops, we could protect our own troops, and that was a significance of 7th September, that Pakistan Air Force put up a really good show.
But sir, talking about, which you said that, that these are the terms only known to a book or to a reader as well, where we talk about, the supremacy in the air as well, or superiority. How did Pakistan Air Force manage to do that? Because, for a country which got its independence in 1947 and 1965, it's in its first ever war as well, isn't it a little difficult? Because, I don't know whether, how the preparedness goes into it as well, but I think that, for all of those people who have spearheaded the Pakistan Air Force or Pakistan Army or Pakistan Navy have always done a beautiful job, and it's because of the fact that I think rather than depending on technology, it's number one, it's the faith. And number two, it's the preparedness of all of these forces as well. So how do we refer to as superiority or supremacy in the air?
I will try to explain it through different stages.
Sure, go ahead.
As such, the Qaeda-e-Azam once went to PFA Academy, Rasalpur, and he gave the task to the Pakistan chief that Air Force should be second to none.
Yeah.
So that was a target set by our leader right at the inception of the country, that we need to be second to none so that we can protect our sovereignty, what we have achieved with a lot of sacrifices. After that onward, Air Marshal Asghar Khan, he said, really put a very good foundation of the strong Air Force. And then the Air Marshal Noor Khan in 1965 war, he was as a leader, marvelous leader. Once he went to the PIA, the Hockey Federation, he really brought the good names to Pakistan. And in 65 war, he himself used to fly and get onto the border situations and look for these things that where we need the air support, because air significance has been, air power significance has been recognized after World War II onward. So he knew what they can do to the enemy and to our own troops.
Yeah.
So right from there onward, last days of August and few days of September, he himself involved, flew to the forward post and talked to the corps commanders and discussed the situation. And right from there, he ordered people to start the operations.
Right.
And it was not only the 7th September straightway achieved, it was achieved with a progressive effort. First of all, I would say that the leader set the target, then is Allah's blessing, then the training and the morale and the jazba, Iman, and that made the difference. On 7th September, we achieved what we started doing from 1st September onward, striking them on the bases, striking them in the air, and they were unable to come up in the air to resist us.
Exactly, and not just that, sir, I'm kind of going to add on to it over here as well, because you were sharing it with us as well, that obviously, from Pakistan Air Force, there are a lot of pilots and there were a lot of, soldiers of ours who actually embraced Shahada or martyrdom as well. Where one of the examples you were sharing with me that, that one of our pilots actually went into their base as well, and then he crashed his plane into other planes as well. Kind of
Yes,
tell us about that.
I will not get into more history because it's already known.
Yeah.
Our squad leader Sarfaz, Rafiki, Alam, they had done wonderful. Once their aircraft were damaged, they went and damaged their lot of aircraft standing on Halwada Air Base. They strike their Halwada, Adhampur, Pathankot, and those aircraft, they were unable to come up in the air. And Alam, he shot 5 aircraft. It's a record history. And we have our heroes, and who really they voluntarily gave their life also for the achieving that 7th September, that is the Air Force Day.
Exactly. And sir, this is exactly what I wanted to ask. I mean, I do not want you to kind of speak about the history or go into the history again and again, but I mean, talking about Pakistan Armed Forces, you know, they're always full of courage as well. And this is something because one of my brother-in-law, alhamdulillah, has served for Pakistan Army. My father-in-law has served Pakistan Army. My nephew's serving Pakistan Army as well. So the best part is that, you know, whenever I come across them and whenever there's a situation where they actually have to go to a hard area, I've never seen them kind of, you know, backing up or probably backing down. Always, what I have seen is that they've always been an example of valor. They've always been an example of confidence, iman, and they're like, you know what, it's our calling and we have to go over there no matter what happens. So it's not, in Pakistan, I have seen that it's not even about having supremacy within the technological field or the technological aspects of whatever is being used or whatever armory is being used in the warfare, but it's pretty much, it comes from the heart. So what is that one thing which is being instilled within all of these academies, may it be PMA, may it be the Risalpur Academy or the Noor Khan Air Base, or, you know, all of these places, wherever our cadets go, I mean, what do you guys do to them that, you know, that they have this much of confidence for their country and they believe in their motherland as well?
Basically, the inculcation of their sacrifices that is being trained. It is not only the how to fire a bullet or how to fly aircraft. It is basically the total overall training and the morale and the iman, jazba. That is a part of our training at maybe PMA or a Navy Academy or the Air Force Academy. Yeah. And we have to give the sacrifices. Somebody has to. Civilians, they also do give the sacrifices. They also contribute to the nation building, like Ashfaq Ahmed. I'm very happy the PGV has included his services to this program. Yeah. And the same way, we also in the forces, we do not go for the comforts. Yeah. And in this, our families, they do sacrifice, and they do not let us, they do not stop us for going to the war or to front or wherever we are required to. Number of Eids, number of functions, number of birthdays, number of other family functions, we are sitting in the trenches and we are on the duty, on the radar, in the aircraft, on the ADA, yeah, in the flight lines, on the different aspects of the duties, we are performing those things, and everyone has to do that to build up as a nation.
Exactly. And you know, while sir, we were in conversation as well, you know, you shared an incident. I don't know whether you want to share it on television or not, but I'm going to give you a reminder of that, your daughter was only 2 days old and you actually had to report somewhere as well, and you had to go, leaving your families behind. So I think that, you know, even if it's 6th of September, 7th of September, or 8th of September, because 8th of September is recognized as the Pakistan Navy Day as well. No matter what happens, I think that it is important for all of us to kind of pay tribute to all of those families of those soldiers, or the pilots, or, you know, the sailormen as well. I mean, everybody who's been out there making sure that they're going to protect their motherland, and to the families of the Ghazis. And no matter what happens, sir, you know, whenever you're in conversation with a mother who's a mother of a martyred soldier as well, you know, she would always come back and say, or probably, you know, she would share a statement that, you know, if I had more sons, and I've had these situations over here on the show while I've been interviewing the mothers of the Shohada as well, and they would always be like that, if we had more sons, we'll always make sure that they sacrifice their lives for their motherland as well. So how do the families take it?
Yes, this is very important, and the families give a support and the courage to the people who are there on the front and they are fighting, and without the family support, they cannot wholly go into that full-hearted support of that. And it's very important, we must pay tribute to our Shohadas and the families of their Shohadas. We must pay them respect, and we must pay tribute to the serving people who are sitting there in the deserts, on the mountains, and in the air, on the sea. We must pay tribute, and we must accept their sacrifices they are giving to the nation. And we have to build as a nation. We have to, somebody has to give duty at night, and only then we can say, sleep tight, Air Force is awake.
Exactly. And you know, sir, I'll kind of add on to it as well, because I've been in conversation with Yusuf Saab, and you know, while he was actually serving the Pakistan Air Force, Yusuf Chaudhry Saab, he shared very amazing incident with me, and he said that, you know, that I was kind of patrolling over somewhere Murray, and it was like there was night time and it was pitch dark, and it was like that, you know, I was just wondering in my cockpit that, you know, that everybody is fast asleep, and it's just because of the fact that there's these people up there in the air as well, or probably on the borders. And I think it's amazing to come across that. But sir, since it's a morning show, so I will take a little bit of leverage as well and go on to the lighter side of the conversation. And it is where, you know, at times I obviously end up in an argument with my wife as well, because, you know, I have to go somewhere, it's a birthday or something, and I'm not around, it's an event. You know, so there's so many events, because we have to be live on television every single day. This is the kind of duty Allah has chosen for us, and make sure that we share all the information. So sir, for all the soldiers, for the families, you know, who kind of come from the armed backgrounds as well, does it actually happen that you end up having an argument with your wife as well, कि यार अभी तो जाना है, अभी बहुत सबसे पहली priority यही है?
Number of time we are called for the duty.
Yes, sir.
Before you are not married, then the mother and the parents and the brothers, and later on the wife and the children, they also join. And Shukr Alhamdulillah, I am proud of it that my whole family, maybe the parents, brothers, sisters, or my wife or the children, they never stopped me for going on to the duty. Rather, they felt proud me going to the duty, staying at night duties. As a group captain, I had been doing the night duties for security checks.
Yeah.
As you see, 2 o'clock midnight, and somebody is in the air, somebody is on the radar, somebody is on the flight line, somebody is doing the administration.
24/7 job.
24/7, and the families, they also sacrifice. And I would request that we must pay tribute to the families who are the families of the serving people as well as the Shohadas.
Exactly.
And that is the way we can encourage the nation that they should send their children to the forces, so that we become a very good, strong Air Force, Army and Air Force.
And sir, which is why, you know, I shared my own example over here as well, that, you know, that when I was growing up, you know, I was wanted to be a part of Pakistan Air Force, but I might not be intellectually on that level back then. But
no, it is not being a matter of, don't feel yourself underestimate. Mashallah, you are contributing as a nation building. Once I see you as an energetic young generation, you have a lot of knowledge, you speak very well, you have a good motivation, morale, and jazba, and you are 46 countries, you said?
Exactly,
that
sir.
in 46 countries, you are passing on this message of nationalism.
Exactly.
And that's a good contribution. That's
Thank
what
you
I'm
very
saying,
much for
everyone.
saying that, sir. You made my day, and I would feel great the entire day and the every next day as well. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, we actually have something very amazing to share with you as well, because we are talking about our martyrs, we're talking about our Shodas, we're talking about their families as well. So I think at this point of time, this is something which I would like to share with you all. Please go ahead, take a look. right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. And that was obviously my responsibility to share this memorabilia with everybody who's out there. You know, today's parents, it's your responsibility to make sure that you teach your kids what all of these amazing men have done for their motherland, for their country as well. And I think it's my responsibility to take this message forward. But other than that, obviously, we have touched upon the historical background, and we already know, in fact, the world knows that, you know, the Pakistani Air Force is second to none as well. But ladies and gentlemen, with every passing minute, we know that, you know, that the techniques for war are changing, that there's new technology coming in every single second, that there are newer technological interventions. And it is very important for any country to update and make sure that they're going to take it on another scale as well when we talk about the armed forces as well. So, sir, now coming down to where, you know, we know that, you know, we are making our own fighter jets as well over here, alhamdulillah. And I think Pakistan Air Force is the first ever Air Force all over the world who are actually manufacturing their own fighter jets as well. But with changing technologies, where are we? Where is Pakistan Air Force? We know that, and the entire world kind of boasts about it as well, that Pakistan Air Force is on #1 in any case as well. So how difficult it is at times to kind of manage that status, and then what initiatives are being taken within the Pakistan Air Force to make sure that every single day we are the best?
Shukran Abdullah, Pakistan Air Force is second to none. First of all, we discussed a lot that morale and jazba that is required. But along with that, we need to have some equipment, material things, they do matter. And in that regard, Pakistan Air Force has, Shukran Abdullah, at such a stage that we have the latest fighter aircrafts, strike aircraft, air defense system, and indigenous fighter aircraft production. It would be heartening to know that we have an indigenous air defense system, what we used to buy from America or German. We have developed that and developed that such a way that it is very good, and it is an integrated system in which we have a low level, medium level, high level missiles, AWACS, all integrated at one place.
And we are amongst the only few countries where we have such a system,
Yes,
right?
yes. I went to States in '88, and at that time I saw that Americans, they had only high level radars because their geographical location is that all around the sea. They had a high level radar integrated and maximum AWACS. The Europe, they had low level radars integrated into their Siemens system, which we had purchased, but we had all the levels of level into one integrated, and mobile observer unit that is also automated.
Wow.
And that is a marvelous system in which it is easy to make a good decisions on the battlefront, that who is coming at a low level, who is coming at a high level, especially as served in air defense a number of years, evaluation, training, operations, and at different places, induction of equipment, development of equipment. And we have a, mashallah, very potent air defense strike defense, as well as the surface to air missiles, long range missiles you already know, but I will talk about surface to air missiles which can give the defense of the country. We have good shoulder mounted missiles, long range missiles. We have tactical missiles, we have tactical radars, and good surveillance radars. And that is basically the, in case if you have a good air defense system, the country aggressor will think twice before crossing.
Exactly.
That happened in 2001 on standoff with India. For 1 year, they continuously stayed on the border, but without crossing the border, we won the war without firing a single bullet, because we had deployed all the sensors. The enemy could not know from where they are going to strike us.
Right.
That's why they did not make a adventure to cross into our borders.
And I believe, you know, I'm not going to go into further detail as well, because I think that the information is going to be sensitive enough as well, and I'm going to respect that. But sir, now I actually want to, because, you know, the entire world knows about it, what Squadron Leader Hassan did as well, and, you know, the cup of tea was fantastic. You know, the MiG-21 was actually taken down by Pakistan Air Force. What happened? So can you share the story once again?
Yes.
With everybody? Because, you know, it talks very high about our capability, it talks very high about our pilots as well, it talks very high about our soldiers and the technology we use. So please go ahead.
In this regard, I would again say that Shukr Alhamdulillah, it's Allah's blessing.
Obviously.
With a lot of technology, Americans They could not win a war in Afghanistan or Vietnam or Russia's. They could not.
That didn't even know that there was some airliners coming towards the building
Yes,
as well.
yes,
So yeah.
they had a total loss of their air defense system. That number of aircrafts hijacked and hitting the World Trade Center and the Pentagon, they don't know. Whereas it is very clear that even the airliner, you said that no, they were airliners, so that they didn't take the action. No, the airliner, they have to also follow the air routes. In case if they are deviating 5 to 10 kilometers from their route, they are taken as hostile.
So what
Let
is 5 to
anyone
10
come.
what is 5 to 10 kilometers for an airliner anyways?
No, they have to follow. They
Really?
have to follow.
Okay.
And let somebody come to our sensitive areas and we'll shoot them down. It's very, very clear.
And you know, when we talk about sensitive areas, so we have automated gun system or a missile
Yes.
system as well. Nobody needs to be there. They're going to shoot automatic.
Even the president cannot go there, chief of air staff, or army staff, or they cannot get into that area without
The permission.
telling permission and the planning that at this time they will be coming to land, and then only that 1 minute, 2 minute time is given the guns hold time. Otherwise, the guns and missiles are free to shoot.
All right.
These are the orders, and we had a very tough time once we were having the nuclear capability being developed, and then after the blast, we were Indian blast, and we were really. I remember the F-6s without air condition, they used to be standing on the alert and start up on the runway to counter any misadventure by Indians or any other nation. And you mentioned about yes, cup of tea. Yes, that was a misadventure by the Indians, and they saw the result. And we told them that we will be able to strike at the time of choice, and they could not do anything. Whereas we intercepted them, we shot them, and it's a record. It is not. We are not saying it is the world has seen, and we have hit them such hard. I remember those technologies which were being developed for last number of years, which were being improved, and we hit them at such place they could not visualize what has come and from where it has come. And M.M. Alam, mashallah, he had put up a record. We have another record of shooting down a searcher class UAV drone, which was
It's very difficult, I've heard that.
It's very difficult to shoot a drone which is small body by the fighter aircraft.
But sir, first things first, how do we detect a drone? You know, I think that's the first challenge.
Yes, incidentally, I had been directly involved with that.
Yeah.
Because it's a small body and it does not have a metal portion much. It does not have a plume. It does not have exhaust. And the main aspect was the detection of that. So we took number of steps how to, because we are not geared to pick up these birds, small birds, which are non-metal. Radar comes on the metal, and shukramdullah, we were able to during number of during standoff, we were able to induct such type of equipment to detect them, and they knew that we have started detecting them.
All right.
And shukramdullah, we were able to do practices, exercises, and different techniques and tactics, and we were able to shoot down Indian searcher class UAV, which was a very beautiful word, by the way. But it is we cannot shoot it with a fighter aircraft because it does not give you the IR, it does not give you the radar signature. So once the fighter aircraft is going, he needs to have the IR. The moment IR is getting, immediately the speed closure rate is such that you immediately overshoot, and minimum dynamic zone that is known as the launch zone, that goes away. And number of times we had the option to shoot them, but there was an airliner coming, so we pulled back our fighter, do not shoot, because by mistake this missile might go to us. That was happening in somewhere in the middle of the country at 2 o'clock night, I remember. And ultimately we shot them at close to Lahore. And the wreckage was available. We brought the wreckage, and then this 27th February also incident. So we have number of records. We have deployed our radars at such a heights where the manufacturer had not designed for that. We had aircraft going at such levels which they had not been designed so far.
And sir, I'm going to come back to this as well, but you know, just to get a little nostalgic, ladies and gentlemen, today what we have done is that we actually, since we are paying rich tribute to all of those shohada of the country as well, and the Ghazis and their families as well, and for all of those people who come from any walk of life but have always served their country and always made sure that Pakistan is going to be their priority. This one's for you. Please go ahead, take a listen. Sir, you're going to love it too as well.
Sure.
Please go ahead.
You're forces.
Tumi se hai mujahido jahan ka safa ke hai. Ladies and gentlemen, I think this brings back so many memories, and I'm so happy because imagine that as a kid, I used to watch in Pakistan television, and today, Alhamdulillah, Allah has given me this opportunity to be on this platform once again on Pakistan television and share the same national song with each and every one of you as well. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are celebrating Yom Fazai over here. I am very happy to be in conversation with Sayyid Shoaib Salim Saab as well. But so very quickly towards the end, since we were talking about UAVs, unmanned vehicles as well, and these days this is where technology is going. The people are actually prioritizing that, okay, that the soldiers is really more important to the country rather than sending them out and making them vulnerable as well. So the technology and the entire atmosphere of the warfare is changing as well. So what are we doing in those terms? And the last question would be, sir, if you're given a chance once again to serve Pakistan Air Force, Pakistan Army, Pakistan Navy, would you still want to do that?
Yes. The answer to the last question, I would 10 times given a chance, I would serve the Air Force.
Alhamdulillah.
Sure, Alhamdulillah, it is a very fine organization. It gives such a lot of respect, and beside being into the field on the operational duties, it gives a family environment. Like now, if I have to go anywhere in the world, wherever the Pakistan Air Force officer is there, we are just like a family.
MashaAllah.
And this is, I'm proud of it. Had I not been in Air Force, I might have been in a civil with a billionaire dollars businessman also, but it would have not been that respect and enjoyable and honor for me as now I had been.
Alhamdulillah.
Talking about the technology, yes, Pakistan is a very resilient nation. Whatever they think to start, and they can achieve that. They wanted to make the atom bomb, they did that. They wanted to make the aircraft. Making of aircraft is also a history that initially we made a Sabre 2 program in which 20, 30 years back we wanted to develop the aircraft, but it was a very well studied done, but it was thought to be delayed at an appropriate place. And shukramdullah, we have had a very good leadership who had been taking the decisions very appropriately and inducting the very good technologies, right, starting from F-104, Sabre, F-86, Mashak, T-37 or F-16 or bombers or all type of aircraft, radars, missiles. It was a wonderful, and the technology is being taking leap, and we are shukramdullah, as far as I know, that we are updating our technology. We are not staying stagnant at that, okay, 7th September we did, okay, let's sleep. No, we have to stay awake. We have to continue in enhancing our technology to the latest threats, because the scenario has changed. Before it used to be the guns, then missiles. No, it is AWACS to AWACS, UAVs, electronic warfare, passive radars, and all those technologies, long short range missiles. And shukramdullah, as a Air Force, we are very cognizant of the fact, and our leadership is doing wonderful things.
MashaAllah, sir, and that's wonderful, and that's very reassuring to know as well. But one last thing, sir, very quickly, and this is something which most of the time come across my mind as well. I want you to give out a message, sir, and there's a reason why I want you to give out a message, because when we look at Pakistan Army, maybe Pakistan Air Force or Pakistan Navy, they've always emerged as amazing institutions, and it's because of the fact that there is discipline, there's faith, there's unity. For whatever messages Qaid-e-Azam left for us, I think are being adopted by all of these three institutes as well. But when we look around, maybe in the public sector, I'm sorry that, but I have to bring this up as well. But we do see that, that they're not very coherent of the fact that, okay, we need to synergize, we need to kind of be on top of our technology as well. But as an institution, what are the core values of an institution, and how do you think all of these three institutions of the armed forces of Pakistan have always emerged, and they've always been beyond our expectations as well, and they've always outdone everybody else, alhamdulillah? What are those core values?
Basically, there is integrity. And they teach integrity and the professionalism, and that is the basic root cause of building a very strong forces platform. And I would message to the nation, to young generation, to the parents, do join Air Force, Navy, Army, wherever the interest of the child goes there. But these are wonderful organizations. You achieve two things.
Sir.
One is spiritually, you are, giving your one night awake on the duty is, much better than other nights, jihad. Yeah. And then they look after you as also. Like I mentioned, in the world, wherever Pakistan Air Force guys, I'm just like a family with him. Yeah. And they look after, maybe during the service, they give a very good, it's a neat and clean nokri, respect. And even the post-retirement, now you are giving such a respect, and the whole nation is, because I had a badge of Pakistan Air Force with me, and that is my recognition.
And that's wonderful.
That is, I must pass on the message that we must give time to join the Air Force.
Inshallah, sir. Thank you very much for being with us. It was lovely to be in conversation with you as well. And for everybody who's out there, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure that you remember all of the shohadas of this motherland, Pakistan, as well, all of the Ghazis and all of the families of these shohadas and Ghazis as well. Tomorrow, inshallah, it's going to be Pakistan Navy Day or Pak Bahriya Day as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please make sure to tune in. And for everybody who's out there, remember us all in your prayers. And there are two core values which I'm going to take away from today's show, and that is integrity and respect. Please make sure that you instill both of these things into your personality or to your kids' personality as well. Make sure that you write to us on our Facebook page, which is with the name of World This Morning. On Twitter, it's World This Morning without a G. On Instagram, ladies and gentlemen, it's World This Morning PT World. The fabulous repeat is going to be at 5 past midnight. Till the next time, look after yourselves. Pakistan, Zindabad.
Zindabad.